Welcome everyone. Today, we are going to talk about something very powerful, how you can learn English by yourself. Many people believe English is very difficult. They think they need a teacher, a classroom, or expensive courses to succeed. But the truth is much simpler. You can learn English on your own. You do not need perfect conditions, special talent, or a high level of intelligence. You do not even need to live in an English-speaking country. What you really need is the right mindset, the right learning method, and consistent daily practice. Around the world, millions of people have successfully learned English by listening carefully, reading regularly, speaking slowly, and practicing every single day. Learning English by yourself gives you freedom and confidence. You can study at your own pace without pressure. You can learn in a comfortable environment where you are not afraid of making mistakes. And remember, mistakes are not failures, they are an important part of learning. In this video, you will discover how to start learning English alone, how to build a daily practice routine, how to improve your listening and speaking skills, and how to stay consistent without losing motivation. If you feel shy speaking English, if you feel stuck in your progress, or if you think you started learning too late, this lesson is especially for you. English is simply a skill, and every skill can be learned with time and practice. So let's begin. The first step in learning English is to change your mindset. Before you improve your English, you must change how you think about it. Many people struggle not because English is truly difficult, but because they believe it is difficult. They think English requires special talent or high intelligence. This belief creates fear and stops progress. But English is not a talent, it is a skill, and every skill can be learned through practice. You must stop telling yourself that English is hard. When your mind believes something is too difficult, it loses the motivation to try seriously. The reality is simple, English is not difficult, it is just new. Anything new feels challenging at first. Think about when you first learned to walk, write, or use a smartphone. Those things were not easy in the beginning, but you learned them step by step. English is the same. With patience and regular practice, it becomes easier every day. Another important idea is that you do not need to be perfect. Many learners are afraid of speaking because they want perfect grammar and perfect pronunciation. This is one of the biggest mistakes. Perfect English is not necessary, clear communication is what truly matters. Even native speakers make mistakes. They forget words, use simple sentences, and sometimes speak incorrectly. The goal of language is communication. If people understand you, you are successful. You should also remove the fear of making mistakes. Fear is one of the biggest barriers to learning. Many learners worry that others will laugh at them or judge their errors. But mistakes are natural and necessary. A child learns language by making many mistakes. They say incorrect words again and again, yet they continue learning without fear. You must develop the same attitude. Think like a learner, not like a critic. Every mistake means progress. If you never make mistakes, it usually means you are not trying enough. Another important truth is that you do not always need a teacher. Teachers can guide and support you, but they are not required for success. Many people have learned English by watching videos, listening to stories, reading simple books, and practicing speaking alone. Today, your phone can become your classroom, and your home can become your learning space. When you take responsibility for your learning, you become more confident and independent. Finally, stop comparing yourself with others. Comparison destroys motivation and creates unnecessary pressure. Some people learn quickly, while others need more time. Everyone has a different learning journey, and that is completely normal. Focus on your own progress. Improve a little every day, and over time you will see powerful results. Learning English is not a race, it is a personal journey toward growth and confidence. That is completely normal. Everyone learns at a different pace, and your journey is unique. When you compare yourself with others, you often begin to feel weak, late, or discouraged. Instead of comparing yourself with other people, compare yourself with who you were yesterday. If today you understand more than before, even a little, it means you are improving, and that is enough. Focus on daily progress rather than quick results. English is not something you learn in one day. It is something you build step by step through daily practice. Even 10 minutes of practice every day is far more effective than studying for 2 hours only once a week. Successful learners do not ask, "How fast can I learn English?" Instead, they ask, "How can I practice English every day?" Consistency is more powerful than speed. Believing in yourself is also very important. Your belief shapes your success. If you believe that you can learn English, you will naturally look for ways to improve. But if you believe that you cannot learn, you will always find excuses to avoid practice. Develop a positive belief about your learning journey. Tell yourself every day, "I am learning English. I am improving every day. I do not need to be perfect." Strong belief creates effort, and effort leads to real progress. Think about a simple real-life example. Person A says, "My English is bad. I cannot learn." Because of this belief, he stops trying and avoids practice. Person B says, "My English is weak, but I am learning." He continues practicing every day with patience. After a few months, Person B speaks much better. The difference is not intelligence or opportunity, the difference is mindset. A positive mindset leads to consistent action, and consistent action brings improvement. To apply this lesson in your daily life, start with simple habits. Stop negative self-talk and avoid criticizing yourself. Accept your mistakes as part of the learning process. Speak slowly and practice without fear. Remind yourself often that English is a skill, and you are learning it step by step. Remember, English does not require confidence at the beginning, confidence comes after practice. Do not wait until you feel ready. Start now. When you change your mindset, your English will begin to improve naturally. Now let's move to the second lesson. Start with listening, not speaking. Many learners try to speak English immediately. They memorize grammar rules and practice sentences, yet they still struggle to speak confidently. The reason is simple: listening always comes before speaking. Think about how you learned your first language. You listened for a long time before you started speaking. Learning English follows the same natural process. Listening is the foundation of language learning because it trains your brain to understand how English really works. When you listen regularly, you learn correct pronunciation, natural sentence structure, rhythm, and tone. You begin to understand how real conversations sound. Without listening, speaking feels forced, slow, and uncomfortable. Strong English learners spend more time listening than speaking because they understand that you cannot speak what you have never heard. This is very important to remember. If your brain has not heard enough English, it does not know how to produce words and sentences correctly. That is why many learners suddenly forget words, break their sentences, or feel blank while speaking. Listening fills your mind with English and prepares you to speak more naturally later. As your listening improves, speaking becomes easier and more confident. Do not worry if you cannot understand everything while listening. Many learners stop listening because they expect to understand 100% of what they hear. This is a common mistake. You do not need to understand every word to learn effectively. Understanding the general idea is enough at the beginning. With regular listening, your understanding will slowly grow, and English will start to feel more natural and familiar over time. Even understanding 50 to 60% of what you hear is enough in the beginning. Your brain does not learn only individual words, it learns patterns, sounds, and sentence structures. With regular practice, your understanding grows naturally over time. So what should you listen to? Always choose simple English. You can listen to short stories, graded readers, slow English videos, daily conversations, or simple podcasts designed for learners. Do not begin with fast movies or complex content because it can feel overwhelming and discouraging. Simple input builds a strong foundation, and a strong foundation makes future learning easier. Another important habit is listening repeatedly, not just once. Listening one time is rarely enough for deep learning. Strong learners listen to the same content again and again. When you repeat listening, words become familiar, sentences begin to sound natural, and your fear slowly disappears. Repetition builds confidence and strengthens understanding. There are also two types of listening that can help you improve: passive listening and active listening. Passive listening happens when you listen while walking, cooking, or resting. Active listening requires full attention, focus, and repetition. Both methods are valuable. Passive listening helps your brain become familiar with the language, while active listening builds clear understanding. Make listening a daily habit, even if you listen for a short time. Consistency is more important than long study sessions. Listening for 15 to 20 minutes every day can create powerful results. Daily listening slowly trains your brain and builds lasting improvement, while skipping days can break your learning momentum. Consider a real-life example. Person A studies grammar rules only and rarely listens to English, so speaking feels difficult and unnatural. Person B listens to English every day, and as a result, grammar improves naturally and speaking becomes easier. Both people put in effort, but their focus is different, and their results are different. To practice listening daily, choose one short English audio and listen to it every day. You can listen to the same audio again the next day to deepen your understanding. Do not try to translate everything into your native language. Instead, enjoy the sound and rhythm of English and allow it to become part of your daily life. Do not force yourself to speak too early, speaking will come naturally with time. First, fill your mind with English sounds and patterns. When your brain is ready, words will come automatically. Listening may seem like silent practice, but it is one of the most powerful ways to learn. If you want to speak English fluently, begin by listening patiently. English enters through your ears and later comes out through your mouth. Now let's move to Lesson 3, read simple English every day. Reading is another powerful way to learn English independently. If listening fills your ears with English, reading fills your eyes and mind with the language. Together, listening and reading create strong understanding and faster progress. Reading helps you learn new words naturally, understand sentence structure, improve grammar without memorizing rules, and gradually begin to think in English. When you read daily, English becomes familiar and comfortable. However, many learners make a common mistake: they start with difficult books. This often leads to stress and frustration. Instead, begin with very simple materials such as graded readers, short stories, easy articles, or simple conversations. Simple English builds confidence, while difficult English can reduce motivation. Choose material that you can understand easily and enjoy reading. It is also important not to translate every word while reading. When you translate everything, reading becomes slow and tiring, and learning becomes less enjoyable. Instead, try to guess the meaning of new words from the context. Skip very difficult words and focus on understanding the main idea of the text. Even understanding about 70% is enough for learning. Over time, your vocabulary will grow naturally. Just like listening, reading once is not enough. Strong learners read the same text 2 or 3 times. During the first reading, focus on the general meaning. During the second reading, aim for deeper understanding. During the third reading, build confidence and fluency. Repetition helps the language stay in your memory and makes English feel natural. Reading aloud can also be very helpful. When you read aloud, you practice pronunciation, build speaking confidence, and train your mouth to produce English sounds correctly. Do not worry about making mistakes, speak slowly and clearly. Your speaking ability improves through regular practice. Reading also helps you build vocabulary naturally. Instead of memorizing long lists of words, reading shows you how words are used in real sentences and real situations, which makes them easier to understand and remember. When you see the same word again and again while reading, you begin to remember it naturally. This is how language learning works. Vocabulary learned in a natural way is much stronger than vocabulary that is simply memorized from lists. That is why reading should become a daily habit in your life. Consistency is more important than time. Even reading 5 pages a day or spending 10 minutes daily can create real progress. Daily reading slowly builds fluency, while skipping days slows your improvement. Think about a simple example. Person A memorizes vocabulary words but quickly forgets them. Person B reads simple English stories every day, and the words stay in memory for a long time. Both learn the same words, but their learning method creates different results. To practice reading daily, choose one simple text and read it without pressure. Focus on enjoying the story rather than worrying about perfect understanding. You can read the same text again the next day to improve your understanding. Enjoyment helps you stay consistent, and consistency leads to progress. As you read regularly, English begins to feel more familiar. Your fear decreases, your confidence grows, and this confidence later helps you speak more easily. Reading may seem like quiet learning, but it is extremely powerful. If you truly want to learn English by yourself, make reading your daily friend. The simple reading you do today can create fluent English tomorrow. Now let's move to Lesson 4, Speak to yourself without fear. Many people understand English well, but they struggle to speak. The problem is often not lack of knowledge, it is fear. Speaking to yourself is one of the safest and most effective ways to remove this fear. Before speaking with others, you must first feel comfortable speaking with yourself. When you talk to yourself, there is no pressure, no judgment, and no fear of making mistakes. This freedom allows you to build confidence naturally. You do not need a partner to practice speaking. Many learners say, "I have no one to practice with," but this is not a real obstacle. You can become your own practice partner. Speaking alone trains your brain to produce English naturally and prepares you for real conversations. Begin with very simple sentences. Do not try to speak complex or long sentences at the start. For example, you can say, I am learning English, today I feel happy, or I am reading a story. Simple sentences build fluency step by step, and more complex language will come later. One powerful method is to describe your daily life in English. Talk about what you are doing, what you see around you, or what you plan to do next. For example, you might say, I am making tea, or I am going to study now. Your daily life provides unlimited topics for practice. Speak slowly and clearly without rushing. Remember, fluency does not mean speaking fast, fluency means speaking clearly and confidently. When you speak slowly and think calmly, your speed will improve naturally over time. It is also important not to correct every small mistake while speaking. Constant correction can reduce confidence and stop your progress. When you speak to yourself, focus on expressing your ideas and keeping the conversation flowing. Ignore small errors and continue speaking. Correction can come later, confidence must come first. You can also record your voice while practicing. When you listen to your recordings, you notice your mistakes, observe your progress, and build greater confidence. Do not judge yourself harshly. Progress is always more important than perfection. Make speaking a daily habit, even if you practice for only a few minutes. Consistency matters more than long practice sessions. Speaking for 5 to 10 minutes every day can slowly remove fear and improve your ability. Consider a real-life example. Person A waits until their English becomes perfect and never speaks. Person B speaks to himself every day and improves gradually. After a few months, Person B speaks confidently. The difference is not knowledge, it is courage and practice. To practice self-speaking daily, simply speak aloud for 5 minutes about your day. Use simple words and express your thoughts freely. Enjoy the process and do not worry about mistakes. English grows through regular use. Speaking often begins in silence, and when you learn to speak to yourself without fear, speaking with others becomes much easier and more natural. Your voice also learns English by hearing itself. When you speak and listen to your own voice, your brain becomes familiar with English sounds, pronunciation, and sentence patterns. This simple habit strengthens your speaking ability over time. Now let's move to Lesson 5, Build Vocabulary the Smart Way. Many learners believe that learning vocabulary means memorizing thousands of difficult words. This is a common misunderstanding. Vocabulary is not about how many words you know, it is about how well you can use the words you learn. You do not need a huge number of words to communicate effectively. You need useful words that you can use again and again in real situations. Many people try to memorize long word lists. They write 50 words, memorize their meanings, and then forget them after a few days. This happens because the words are not used in real situations. They have no context, and the brain cannot remember isolated information for long. Memorization without usage leads to weak learning. That is why it is much more effective to learn words in context rather than learning them alone. Words live inside sentences. When you learn a word within a sentence, you understand how to use it naturally, remember it longer, and speak more confidently. For example, instead of simply learning that decide means choose, learn it in a sentence such as, I decided to study English today. Context makes words meaningful and powerful. It is also important to focus on common words used in daily life. Do not begin with rare or complicated vocabulary. Start with simple, practical words such as go, come, make, take, feel, think, want, need, happy, tired, busy, and free. These words appear frequently in listening, reading, and speaking, and they help you communicate quickly and effectively. Learning common words builds fluency faster than memorizing difficult vocabulary. Strong learners also understand the value of repetition. Seeing or hearing a word once is not enough. When you encounter the same word many times, while listening, reading, or speaking, it becomes part of your memory naturally. Do not rush to learn many new words every day. Deep learning is more powerful than fast learning. Take your time and allow repetition to strengthen your understanding. Another important step is to use new words immediately. When you learn a new word, try to use it in a sentence right away. Say it aloud or write it down. For example, if you learn the word improve, you can say, I want to improve my English. Using a word helps fix it in your memory. Try to create your own simple sentences instead of copying long or complex ones. Make short sentences about your own life, such as I am improving every day, or I practice English at night. Personal sentences are easier to remember because they connect with your real experiences. It is also helpful to learn phrases instead of single words. English is naturally spoken in phrases, not isolated words. For example, expressions like I am looking for, I am interested in, or I am good at allow you to communicate quickly without thinking too much about grammar. Learning useful phrases helps you speak more smoothly and confidently. You may also keep a small vocabulary notebook. Do not try to write too many words. Instead, write 5 to 10 useful words with one simple sentence for each. Review these words regularly. A small notebook with regular review creates strong and lasting memory. Consider a simple real-life example. Person A memorizes 100 words but forgets most of them because they are never used. Person B learns only 10 words but uses them daily in speaking and writing. After a few weeks, Person B speaks better and remembers more vocabulary. The effort is similar, but the method produces different results. To practice vocabulary daily, learn 2 or 3 useful words each day and use them in your conversations. Listen for these words in videos, read them in stories, and try to use them in your own sentences. This creates strong connections in your brain. When you listen and read regularly, your vocabulary grows naturally and steadily. There is no need to force the process. Trust your learning journey. English words will come to you when your brain is ready. Do not chase a large vocabulary, focus on building vocabulary that you can actually use in real life. Words that you use every day are far more valuable than words you only memorize and never apply. When you focus on practical, useful vocabulary, your English becomes natural and confident. Smart vocabulary choices help you communicate clearly and comfortably in real-life situations. Now let's move to Lesson 6, Practice Grammar Without Fear. Many learners feel afraid of grammar. They believe grammar is complicated and that it prevents them from speaking freely. But this belief is not true. Grammar itself is not the problem, fear of grammar is the real obstacle. You do not need perfect grammar to speak good English. Grammar is simply a tool that helps you communicate your ideas clearly. It is not a test, and you are not taking an exam every time you speak. If your message is clear and people understand you, your grammar is good enough. Even native speakers often use simple grammar, make mistakes, and still communicate effectively. The goal of language is communication, not perfection. It is also important to understand that you do not need to learn every grammar rule. English grammar has many rules, but most daily conversations use only basic structures. Begin with simple grammars such as present tense, past tense, future tense, and basic sentence patterns. These basics cover most everyday communication. Advanced grammar can be learned later, step by step, as your confidence grows. A more effective way to learn grammar is through examples rather than memorizing rules. Grammar rules can feel confusing, but examples are easier to understand and remember. For instance, instead of studying complicated explanations of the present tense, learn simple examples such as I work every day or she studies English. Your brain naturally learns language patterns by seeing and hearing examples repeatedly. Another important idea is to speak first and correct mistakes later. Many learners hesitate to speak because they are constantly thinking about grammar rules. This blocks fluency and slows progress. Strong learners focus first on expressing their meaning, then improve accuracy gradually. Fluency comes before perfection, and accuracy improves with time and practice. Do not be afraid to make small grammar mistakes. Mistakes are a natural part of learning. If you stop every time you make an error, you will never develop confidence in speaking. For example, you might say, I go market yesterday. This sentence is not grammatically perfect, but the meaning is clear. Later, through practice and exposure, you will learn to say, I went to the market yesterday. Language learning is a gradual process. You should also focus on using simple sentence structures. Simple sentences are powerful and effective. A basic structure such as subject, verb, and object is enough for clear communication. For example, I am learning English, or I watch videos daily. You do not need complex sentences to sound confident. Simple English is clear English. Practice one grammar idea at a time instead of trying to learn everything together. For example, you can focus on the present tense today and the past tense tomorrow. Use the grammar you are learning throughout the day in speaking, writing, and thinking. This focused practice builds strong understanding and lasting improvement. Remember that grammar also improves naturally through listening and reading. You do not learn grammar only from textbooks. When you listen to English daily and read regularly, your brain automatically absorbs correct sentence structures. This is natural learning. Grammar enters your mind quietly without stress. Consider a real-life example. Person A waits until they understand grammar perfectly before speaking, so they rarely practice. Person B speaks using simple grammar and improves every day. After a few months, Person B speaks clearly and confidently. Both learn the same grammar, but their courage and practice create different results. To practice grammar daily, learn one small grammar idea and use it in 5 simple sentences. Speak these sentences aloud and do not worry about mistakes. Grammar grows through use, not through fear. Do not let others discourage you. Some people may correct too much or laugh at mistakes, but you are learning for yourself, not for them. Confidence is more important than correctness in the beginning. Remember, grammar is your helper, not your judge. Use simple grammar, speak without fear, and improve step by step. Remember, clear English is always better than perfect silence. Now let's move to Lesson 7, Think in English little by little. Many learners can read English and understand English, yet they still feel slow when speaking. The main reason is that they think in their first language and then translate their thoughts into English. This process takes time and reduces confidence. If you want to learn English by yourself, you should gradually learn to think in English. However, you do not need to think in full English immediately. This is very important to understand. Thinking in English is a slow process, not a sudden change. You should not force it. Strong learners begin with small steps, using single words, short phrases, and simple sentences. With time, the mind naturally adapts. You can start by thinking about your daily life in English. Focus on simple thoughts that come naturally. For example, you can think, I am tired, I need water, or it is hot today. Do not translate these thoughts from your native language, simply think them directly in English. This is the first step. Replace small, simple thoughts rather than trying to think about complex ideas. Do not begin with deep or complicated topics. Start with basic things such as what you see, what you feel, or what you are doing. For example, I am walking, or I am studying now. These simple thoughts slowly build a habit of thinking in English. Think slowly and clearly without rushing. Slow thinking is not a problem, in fact, it helps you build clear understanding. Speed will improve naturally with time. Clarity is more important than speed because clear thinking leads to easier speaking. Also, do not worry too much about grammar while thinking. Your thoughts are private, and no one is judging you. You may think something like I go market now, and that is completely fine. Grammar will improve naturally through listening and reading. Thinking in English helps you build flow and confidence, not perfection. Try to use English in your inner voice throughout the day. Everyone has an inner voice, the voice in the mind that speaks silently. Use English in this voice while walking, resting, or waiting. These small moments of practice are very powerful because they train your brain every day. As English becomes part of your thinking, your fear begins to decrease. Translation slowly disappears, confidence grows, and speaking becomes more natural. English starts to feel familiar rather than foreign. You do not need to stop thinking in your native language completely. It is normal to think in both languages. Over time, your English thoughts will increase and translation will decrease naturally. Do not force this change, allow it to happen gradually. Consider a simple real-life example. One person always translates before speaking, so their speech feels slow and difficult. Another person begins thinking small thoughts in English every day, and speaking becomes easier. Both know the same English, but their habits create different results. To practice thinking in English daily, spend 5 to 10 minutes each day thinking in simple English. Use basic words and describe your actions or surroundings. Do not correct yourself too much. Consistency is what matters most. With time, you will notice that words come faster, sentences feel easier, and fear becomes smaller. This change happens quietly. English grows silently inside your mind. Remember, you do not always need teachers or expensive courses to learn English. What you truly need is the right mindset, daily listening, simple reading, speaking without fear, smart vocabulary learning, basic grammar practice, and the habit of thinking in English. When you practice a little every day, English naturally becomes part of your life. Always remember this, English is a skill, and every skill can be learned. Start small, stay consistent, and trust the process. Learning English does not require pressure, it requires patience and daily practice. If you listen a little, read a little, and speak a little every day, English will slowly become natural for you. If this lesson helped you, please like the video and subscribe to Silver Narratives for more simple and practical English learning content. Remember, you do not need perfection, you need consistency.